This is the Negro Ninja, and it puzzles me how people can sit around thinking of ways to mess with others. Some people are just so consistent with it that that's just what they do all day when they could be doing something more productive, such as losing weight. Okay, but they want to figure out ways. How do I mess with him? He's to himself. I don't like him being happy. And you have to just think about how much energy it takes to think about one person all day long. That's idolatry right there. Okay, you hating this person, but you worshiping them at the same time. So that's already sending you to hell. Just that by itself. And I didn't even get deep on why you going to hell if you do that anyway. Okay, but these are not my words. For all wise things come from the Most High. Okay, and it comes from Jesus. Jesus came down here and he pretty much embodied all that type of stuff. Because in Matthew 22, particularly verse 32, Jesus was going through similar stuff to where Pharisees was trying to harass him. They always messing with him. Every time they think about Jesus, they have to figure out ways to try to trip him up. And one of them was a lawyer. And he, tempted Jesus with a question. And I'm going to get to that. And that's in verse 35. But let's start at 32 when Jesus flat out says, I am the God of Abraham, and the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. God is not the God of the dead, but of the living. Okay, so he pretty much tells you right there. In this statement, he is a God of the living, meaning he's going to do productive things. He's not going to be out there doing destructive stuff like harassing people or looking for ways to make their lives harder. So I'm going to read from 32 through 40. And when the multitude heard this, they were astonished at his doctrine. But the Pharisees had heard that he had put the Sadducees to silence. They were gathered together. Then one of them, which was a lawyer, asked him a question, tempting him and saying, Master, which is the great commandment in the law? And Jesus pretty much reiterates what he said in verse 32. Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. Meaning your mind's supposed to be thinking about God and what he does and how to please him. They out here thinking of stupid ways to mess with you and just be a nuisance to everybody. Okay, so they already failed that commandment an infinite number of times right there. You going to hell. Okay, so this is just that right there. Okay, like how Jesus was talking about how the rich is going to have a harder time getting into heaven than a camel squeezing through a needle's eye. They don't play that. Okay, so 38. This is the first and great commandment. And the second is like unto it. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Okay, treat those how you want to be treated. There's 1,000 ways, you can say this. Okay, you can just think about the friendship between Jonathan and David. They loved each other like they loved themselves. They was dang near the same person. They was, like soul brothers or something. Okay. That was one person that they can completely trust aside from Jesus. Okay. Like Jonathan even went against his own father to help out David because he know his daddy wasn't right. We DNA, but David didn't really do nothing. You shouldn't be trying to kill him. That's my boy. Now in modern times, the average person would just be so narcissistic that they would just be partial to whatever their family does. Okay. And that's what, one of the things Jesus says, if you want to serve him, You got to leave your family behind. He comes before your family. Okay, you go to hell trying to follow traditions of your family. You can't be stupid because your family's stupid. Okay, if your family turns into zombies, are you going to allow them to bite you to turn you into one as well? I would think not. But then again, people are slow. And when someone is slow, and I'm not talking about the mentally handicapped or nothing. When people are slow, wisdom is not with them. We've been over this too many times in the past few days. All right. But like Jesus said, this is the first in the great commandment. And the second, like unto it, is love thy neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. Be Christ-like. Okay, that's another way of saying that. Don't do nothing that Jesus wouldn't do. And a lot of people can help what they're doing, but they just choose to be retarded. Okay, one cannot claim to be a good person, but I just don't like this person over there. Okay, you don't like this person. Okay, you don't got to like the person. But you don't have to do nothing stupid to someone to show that you don't like them. When I don't like someone, I make sure I am away from that individual as much as possible. I don't even want to see that individual. Okay, and these are people that I absolutely despise. And I have the decency to not think about them. Okay, a man of God only hates a person that brings it upon themselves, and it's a healthy amount of hate. You keep doing stupid stuff to me, I don't like you. Okay, the hatred is in proportion. Much like how Jesus is going to have hatred towards a lot of non-believers when he get back in proportion and toss them into the lake of fire. That's healthy. Okay, because they are worthless individuals that can, if they was allowed into the kingdom wouldn't even be called heaven at that point. It'd just be like this mess here. Okay, and I want to reiterate with some more verses. I'm going to use Romans 13:10. Love worketh no ill to his neighbor. Therefore, love is fulfilling of the law. Okay, let's think about player haters. Okay, I don't even need to say nothing. They doing the devil's work. No reason to hate, but they just gonna hate on you because you're cool. Because you're doing awesome things that they can't conceive, let alone attempt or practice. Leviticus chapter 19, verse 13. Thou shalt not defraud thy neighbor, neither rob him. The wages of him that is hired shall not abide with thee all nights until the morning. Okay, because you just sit around and mess with somebody, it's just a form of weakness. Oh, everything is cool. Let me just try to act like I'm the big and bad person, just mess with this person that is peaceful. You never see them doing that to hostile people that will blow their brains out. Okay, people do stuff to people because they know, oh, you're not going to do anything, not because you're a punk, but you're just not a violent person, so I'm safe. It's some straight coward stuff. Okay, because the more you do, the more you're going to hell. That's just it. Okay, once again, we already talked about why God allowed people to do stupid stuff anyway, because they're sending themselves to hell. They want to go to hell. Nobody wants to go to hell more than somebody that just want to sit around and mess with people. People that sit around doing pranks is the same way. And there's a few scriptures in the Bible that tells you that pranking is stupid anyway. Just like saying, oh, I was just playing. That's also a sin. Okay. I'm just joking around. That's a sin. Because you're lying and making light of it. Let's find some more verses to hammer this point home. Okay, I just found another good verse from John, 1 John chapter 4:20, and it pretty much says what I said at the beginning. How can you call yourself a person of God and you hate this person and do stupid stuff to him? So anyway, 1 John chapter 4:20. If a man say, I love God, and hateth his brother, he is a liar. For he that loveth not his brother, whom he hath seen, how can he love God whom he hath not seen? Okay, and it's like Jesus says, they're not persecuting you, they're persecuting me. Okay. They don't persecute you, they persecute Jesus. That's why people gang up on Christians so much. This is why people hate when the righteous keep to themselves. You think he better than us. They, through you, are basically arguing with God. You need to accept us even though we don't accept you. Some straight coward BS. That's like saying, you need to let me win this game. Put your controller down. Why you got to be so good? Okay, some straight, Skittles mess. All right. And I also found, Jesus saying this in a different way in Luke chapter 10, 25 through 28. And I'm going to reread it. And behold, a certain lawyer stood up and tempted him, saying, Master, what shall I do to inherit eternal life? And what I like about this is it's getting more critical with it. He says, what? Because I don't think he said that in Mark. They didn't say that eternal life part, but flat out says, how do I have eternal life? And he said unto him, what is written in the law? How readest thou? And he answering said, Thou shalt love thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy strength, and with all thy mind, and thy neighbor as thyself. And he said unto him, Thou hast answered right. Do this, and thou shalt live. And then after that, Jesus told somebody a parable about how somebody helped somebody that got robbed and was beaten on the streets, and how the dude took care of him in the hotel. So this is how serious this stuff is. Okay, just simple acts of politeness and compassion. Okay, it's an action away from sending you to heaven or hell alone. Okay, and people always tell you, oh, this person does this because they hate themselves. They don't like themselves, and that's true. Okay, once again, walk in Jesus' image. Why does Jesus do all the stuff he does? Because he is love. He didn't have to come down here and be crucified on the cross so you can go to heaven. Okay, like I said a while back, God could have just said, okay, I can just wipe everybody out and make humans number 3 that would never do this, that would never sin. But they redeemed you. They redeemed us. Okay, and while I'm thinking about this, the thought came into my mind. You know how sometimes somebody will be cool with you. You probably never really thought about it. But this little subtle stuff people do to other people and just for no reason. But they cool with you. Them the ones you got to watch. Okay, but it don't always be that obvious. It just pays to really pay attention to what people do. They be doing a lot of real stupid stuff. And it seemed like it's, actually, it never seems like it's uncontrollable. It always seemed deliberate, but it be so minuscule that you probably don't even really register it until you stop and think about it. Okay, you can just see somebody tapping on something. To you, you're probably thinking, you know what? Maybe this person just... But they probably doing it because they know it irritates this person sitting over there. You just got to watch people. Okay, they cannot resist the opportunity to mess with people. They ain't happy so nobody else could be happy. Okay, well, they going to get to spend an eternity with other people that ain't happy. Okay, why rush it? Okay, then you got to watch the little stuff like how somebody parks. It's one thing to make a mistake. But some people park taking up 2 spots on purpose. Even if they don't do it all the way, it can just be enough to where just this much to where the other person can't get in. You got to watch them. Okay, a lot of people seem cool to one person, but it's a nightmare to others. All right, we got to make sure we spot these subtleties and not associate with any of these people. Okay, you don't even want a tiny bit of it to rub off on you. Okay, because all it takes is just a little bit. It just chips away at your character and you end up being no more. A little is a lot. And that's all I got to say for this message. And this has been the Negro Ninja bringing you your Negro message for today. Negro out.